We now return to the State Journal's Decision Makers.
Welcome back, State Journal's Decision Makers, joined now by Evan Jenkins, 3rd Congressional District, the Republican candidate. And Evan, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Bray. Thank you.
You know, I was getting ready to say before we went on there, it's hard to believe that it's been 6 months since you were on here announcing your candidacy, and this has been the slugfest of all slugfests. It's amazing what you've been put through.
Well, we started this campaign over a year ago, and unfortunately, there has been a lot of things said. As they said, this is not Sunday school. They don't always say nice things about you. But, you know, this has been a hard-fought campaign. We've talked about coal a lot. We've talked about getting West Virginia back on its feet. And we've talked about standing up to Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. So it's talking about new leadership for West Virginia. So we've gotten out there in all 18 counties, and we've got 3-4 weeks to go, and we're going to work every day.
Well, you know, what's really interesting to me is we're starting to notice that the polls are starting to come your way. You know, earlier they were point or toss-up, but there's been a couple of polls just in the last week or so that are starting, and polls that are done with a lot of folks, right, that start to show you, you know, 4, 5, 6 points ahead.
Cautiously optimistic. This week, a poll was released that showed us 6 points up, 50 to 44, with still 6% undecided. Right before Labor Day, we were up 1 point. So, you know, we all know, and we always talk about, the most important poll is Election Day.
Right.
And the polls are snapshots in times. Things change. But certainly we are, again, cautiously optimistic that the message of a change in leadership from West Virginia. You know, we've had 38 years of the same representation in Washington. We've got a congressman who has been an advocate and supporter of Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, and we've seen what that agenda has done to West Virginia. And fortunately, I'm excited that the voters seem to be recognizing that, one, it's time for change. It's time to have a problem solver go to Washington, somebody to stand up to Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, somebody who doesn't vote for a carbon tax. You know, Nick Rahal is 6 for 6 in voting for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. I don't think they want to give him a 7th opportunity.
You know, one of the things I do want to say, because I want our viewers to know this, we did invite Congressman Rahal to join us today, and his schedule was unable to accommodate this interview. So.
He must have a busy schedule, because I had an editorial board visit yesterday that he regretted for. You'll remember when the business community came together at the Business Summit, he backed out on that. So we haven't heard from him or seen much of him lately. Things seem to be awfully quiet on his front.
One thing, and we're talking about sort of the brutal bruising, but one of the things that we talked about a couple weeks ago on this show that really is one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. It was an ad against you. It was done by the Rahal folks, and it basically took you and put words, I mean, they edited words in that you didn't say.
Well, they didn't hardly even edit words in. I think you're talking about the black lung.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this week...
I mean, it was trying to say you were against black lung, which is clearly not true.
Well, it's not true. So let me make sure I'm perfectly clear. I strongly support every benefit, eligibility, and support for those.
And you have always done that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, I understand a competitive race. I understand campaigns are aggressive, but I think we all know there's a line. And what's happened, and you know, just this week, Time magazine or Time Online awarded not a very good award of a distinction, but that ad that Nick Rahal ran as the most one of the top 5 most dishonest ads this election cycle in the entire country.
Well, and you know, the Washington Post, the Bluefield paper, I mean, everybody has come out and said, you know, you did cross a line there that shouldn't have been crossed. And you know, they had to know that was happening. And what's interesting is under the federal laws, we can't, you know, even though it's untrue, under federal laws, when it's by a candidate, you can't not put it on the air.
You know, we've raised multiple times. It's not just this most recent ad from Nick Rahal, the House Majority PAC, DCCC. There's been a lot of clearly untruth said, and we have raised this issue, as you know, but I understand the tough spot. But again, back to this black lung. The idea that Nick Ray Hall, to save his 38-year career, run an ad that actually put somebody on camera and said something and said, I said something that I never said, is just an outrage. And unfortunately, that does such a disservice to the voters of West Virginia to clearly misrepresent.
You want to trust an elected official, and when you can't,
he certainly broke the public's trust. Factcheck.org, the Washington Post, 4 Pinocchios, one of the most misleading, dishonest ads in the entire country. That's not an award of distinction that I would think anybody would want to have, and certainly something I wouldn't relish.
One of the things I want to talk to you about, because it really is the key thing of what's going on in this campaign, it is coal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably no district anywhere in America that is more dependent and has done more for this country with coal, more dependent on coal than any. But when you think about what coal miners have done through the centuries of providing power to America, to create steel, to warm and keep people in the light and keep their homes warm, coal is where it's at.
Yeah.
And for reasons that are not clear to me, and listen, I'm very respectful of the environment. A lot of people think I'm too much of an environmentalist. But we don't have to shut down the coal mines to have a clean environment.
Right. What is happening is just devastating, and you can't go out, as I have done these last literally 14, 15 months in southern West Virginia in the 18 counties of the 3rd Congressional District. You know, we've lost 43% of our coal jobs in Appalachia, most of which right here in southern West Virginia in the last